Hey, Adonis Lenzy here, back in the CTN Nashville studios, behind the scenes with our returning guest, DEON. Excited to have him back here. Had a great first interview with you, DEON. And so this one, man, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the whole Christian music artist industry. You know, I remember on the red carpet, we had this amazing conversation, although it was quick because that red carpet is moving, you know. But,
definitely.
you know, one of the things that caught my attention when we were at the We Love Christian Music Awards was just that sense that every artist that was there truly wanted to be there. And they were just, you know, with such humility and no arrogance, no pride. I mean, when they shared about their mission for their music, it was all to bring the hope of Jesus to the listeners, you know? And so when you came up on the red carpet, we talked about that and had that quick conversation about, you know, sometimes that, you know, unfortunately that Christian music arena has that bad stigma as well. And so you spoke into that. So that's what I want to talk about. So in your experience, have you ever come across that bad stigma where you've got the secular arena, then you got the Christian arena, and they kind of meet sometimes in the middle?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, for me, for the most part, I've gotten to really see the Lord move in these behind the scenes of Christian spaces.
Yeah.
I think, you know, of course, the stigma is that, you know, are these really Christians? Are
Yeah.
they entertainers? Do they really care?
Yeah.
And I think that's unfair to the people that are actually doing this to exalt the name of the Lord.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes as people, we can get hyper fixated on, you know, maybe, and of course, the people have had different experiences.
Yeah.
But yeah, there may be some people that along the way got lost, and now maybe it is a little bit more entertainment than it is about the gospel, you know, which is not okay, that I want to say.
Yeah.
But I think when we hyper fixate on that versus the people that are really, really doing this for the Lord, I think kind of steals from, you know, the heart of what the gospel can do.
We start looking through that lens.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people say, you know, you look at all the bad in your life, so you're blinded to the good in your life. And then you start to question everyone in the Christian music industry, or even the Christian media industry. It's like, oh man, is that host really living for God? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, y'all, come on, you know, we're at the end of the day, I think people are human. And I also think that you can get to a place where you are, sometimes you're exalted and no one should be exalted but the Lord. Yeah. And I think sometimes we can get to a place where we're exalting people to where they were never meant to be looked at this high, never meant to be exalted to this level.
Exactly.
And I'm telling you right now, no one can handle fame but Jesus.
That's it.
Period.
That's it, man.
Fame was for one person, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. You know, and I think that's where it becomes a gray area.
Even how he handled that fame. He was like, remember they tried to snag him. Hey, come be our king. And he's like, he went away. Like, no, that's not what it's about.
Yeah, and this is how you know it's backwards, because when Jesus was famous, he hung out with the least. Yeah. And when we get famous, you only hang out with the famous. It's like it's backwards because it was never meant for us.
It's never meant. You know, I remember years ago, I was watching this interview of Will Smith from the Fresh Prince. You know? But before he did that, him and was it DJ Jazzy Jeff? They went out touring, and so they were true rap artists, you know. And he said he was behind the curtain. They were doing this show, and he was backstage behind the curtain, looking at all the crowd out there. And right before they went out, and the crowd is like, you know, they're hyping them up, getting them ready. The crowd is like wild, man. And he peeked out in the curtain, and he said, something just came over me and said, man was not made for this kind of praise. And that's so true, man. It's like, man's not made. We're incapable of handling that. Yeah. And I think sometimes, you know, you can have the greatest intentions, and that's what I want you to speak into, because, you know, starting out, you know, your intentions are great, man. You're mission minded. You're doing this for God. And what are those things that you have to watch out for as a young Christian hip hop artist that could maybe try to pull you away, or you start comparing yourself to somebody else, and or maybe you've got a PR team that said, man, you gotta quit rapping about this and start rapping about that if you want to make more sales. So what are those things that keep you in check, and what would you say to another Christian hip hop artist that's watching to keep them in check?
Yeah, man, this is so funny. This just happened. This just happened a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So me as a Christian hip hop artist, I do dabble in some pop CCM stuff.
Okay.
Because I love it. And I think when you can blend a powerful worship hook, you know, with some fun rap, I think one, it hits multiple audiences so everyone can get with it.
Yes.
But there's no denying there's a presence laying on worship that is not laying on any other sound of music.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I had a friend and I sent him a record. He's a songwriter. And I sent him a record. I was like, hey bro, I would love for you to kind of help me reconstruct the beat of this, you know, and it was a CCM worship rap type of record.
Okay.
And he texts me back and he says, bro, you need to dead these CCM dreams. I said, what do you mean dead the CCM dreams? So of course I could have taken great offense to that. But what I would encourage any artist watching this, do what the Lord has called you to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter if the metrics don't line up. Doesn't matter if, oh man, well this isn't proven to work. Hey, it doesn't matter. If the Lord has called you to do it, you need to do it. Because even if one person's impacted, it worked.
It worked.
Like, you understand what I'm saying?
And I think who they're going to impact.
Right, and that's when the gray area starts, because at the end of the day, you know, it is an industry. And like we talked about, I don't really like the word industry, you know, but at some point, if it's something you want to do full time, money does matter to a degree. I don't ever think the money should matter more than you doing the call that God has put in your life.
Yeah, that's
period.
Good. That's good.
It shouldn't. You should be willing to take a pay cut to do what God has called you to do, rather than do something that you're not supposed to be doing, whether it's blending with the secular music or doing, what would they call it? Crossover music, where you don't say Jesus, you just say you. So people can perceive it as R&B or perceive it as a love song. And it's like, no, I'm gonna say Jesus. Yeah. You know, and if you're called to do that, it's your business. Yeah. But, you know, so that's my heart on it. Okay,
I love it, man, because I think that's one of those things that, you know, once again, it's important to have guys like yourself in the industry that can speak into that and come from such a way where it's non-judgmental, come from such a way it's like, hey, you know, I like how you said, if God tells you to do that, do it. Stay true to it, you know. And I think as you're going along, it's that comparison trap. I think that is so invasive when you're a young artist, and no matter what you're doing in your life, you know, you could be a author, preacher, whatever. You start comparing. Yeah. And when you start comparing, then I think you forget about who you are, who God's called you to be, and it's stay comfortable in your mission. Yeah. And so with those artists that do slip into that comparison, what are some things that they could do to regain their focus and be comfortable and excited about what God's called them to do? Yeah, definitely. I mean, first things first, all creatives need to stop doom scrolling other people's analytics. Hey, you stay up all night as an artist, you scrolling on Spotify, wishing it was you. You know, if you say it again for the people in the back. Artists have to stop doom scrolling other people's analytics, because one, that don't tell the full story. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what budget people have behind them. You don't know any of those in between things. But even nonetheless, right? Yep. When you do that, all you're doing is constantly reminding yourself that you don't feel like God is operating in what you're doing. Wow. And you constantly, you keep reminding yourself, man, God's not blessing me in this way. God's not blessing me in this way. And it's like, you can't even see that he is. Yeah. And I'll speak to a personal experience. Wow. I did this I do hard ticket shows because I believe that as an artist, if you can build a culture of doing hard ticket shows and show your fan base that you care enough about them to go outside and meet them, they're gonna be around longer. Right, so I don't wait for you groups to book me, and they do book me, and I'm grateful, but I don't wait for that. Okay. So the first show that I did, that was a hard ticket show, was in Atlanta, but I hadn't lived in Atlanta for 5 years. And so I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh man, like, are my fans gonna show up? Yeah. And 70 people came. Okay. Right, so 70 tickets, right? I was so fixated on the gaps in the room. Oh, okay, yeah. That's all I could think about. Because I see other people online with packed rooms for their shows, and I'm just thinking, so I can't even appreciate the 70 that came and spent $20 for a ticket and bought merch and all these other things. And then I had a sold out VIP that was 30 people. Yeah, I couldn't even think about that because I'm hyper fixated on, but it's not more though. Yeah. And artists, if you're struggling with that, man, I'm telling you. So the first thing to do, stop doom scrolling. The second thing to do is realign why you're doing what you're doing. If you're doing it to be famous, get out now. Yeah. If you're doing it to sell out a 10,000 person arena, get out now. Yeah. No one that is doing that
set out to do that, the Lord blessed them to do it. You asked Toby Mac, I promise you, he probably going to tell you, oh, I never thought I'd sell out a 10,000 seat arena, but the Lord ordained for me to do it. And that's okay. You know, so run your own race at your own pace.
I love that. I love that. I love that you started out with that simple thing that if we could just master that and quit scrolling.
Stop doom scrolling.
That's what happens.
Yes.
Look, I mean, they got this many views.
It consumes you.
This many followers, this many likes, and all. Dude, you get depressed. At the end of the day, you get depressed. You're not even thinking about maybe the song that the Holy Spirit is putting in your heart. You've been working on it, and it's almost like you tap out mentally and spiritually because you just go down this dark rabbit hole comparing yourself to what somebody else is doing. So I love that you started out with that, man. Quit doom scrolling. And comparing.
I've done it.
I told somebody this. I don't know if it was in a message or something I was doing or preaching a message. I said, you know, when Facebook was the thing back then, you know, it's like nobody has 5,000 friends. I'm sorry, you don't.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Has any friends. Nobody.
You may got 5. But nobody has 5,000.
They would have been at your wedding if they were
exactly. Nobody has.
And I never seen no 5,000 person wedding.
Got to quit all that stuff, man, and just focus. But I thank you for being like vulnerable and candid. By that's an example that I think people need to hear. You know, you did your first show, sold 70 tickets, and you were fixated on the empty seats. Who wasn't there? And I think that's a life lesson for a lot of people right there. No matter what you're doing, be present in the room when you're doing something like that, because those ones that are there are the ones that are supposed to be there. And God's called you to impact them. And so that's, thank you for being vulnerable for that, you know, because I think there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to talk about that because it's painful and hurtful and they make them feel like a failure. But this is like, those are moments, growing, learning, teaching moments. Especially in this industry, that I think everybody can identify with, and like, man, okay, DEON said that with a smile on his face, and he's still going. So and
I did it again, and I'm gonna do it again and again and again and again.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So, man, you know, DEON, I know we could sit here and talk for hours, and man, I just love what God's doing in you and through you. And
thank you.
Thanks for being a part of our CTN Nashville family by just coming out here, man, and hanging out with us in our behind-the-scenes interviews. And man, I encourage you guys, make sure you connect with him. He's going to tell you in a few moments how you can connect with him on social media. But before we do that, DEON, I do want you to end with just a final word. For the person that is dealing with so many voices speaking to them, because we get into that too. You know, God sets us on a mission, but then we have all these experts. Oh, you need to be doing this, and you need to be doing that, and if you would switch that up, and this would get you what you need. And so, what can you tell that person that hears all those voices? How do they get to a place where they are hearing from God and they've got the right people in their life speaking about the moves they need to make in their career? I mean, I've gone through it, and I've gone through it, you know, fairly recently. I had to remove myself from the environment. You know, I had to remove myself from the environment, and what I mean by that is like, yeah, sometimes you need to get off of social media. Sometimes you need to put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Come on. Sometimes you need to do that. And you just need to sit there and rest in the Lord's presence. That's it. Uninterrupted, and just sit there and listen to the Lord. Don't ask him for stuff. You know, Lord, can you do this for me? Just sit there and allow the Lord to speak to you. Because a lot of times the Lord is speaking to you, but everything else in your life is much louder. And so you can't hear the Lord. That's good.
You know?
You got to say that again for the people in the back. You said oftentimes.
Oftentimes, like, the Lord is speaking to you. But the volume of all these other things in your life is turned to the max. And you got the Lord's voice turned down.
And it's because you probably turned it to the max.
You turned it to the max.
Turned it to the max.
You're hyper fixated on all these other areas of life, and the only area you need to be hyper fixated on is your relationship with the Lord.
Wow. I love that. I love that, man. Oftentimes God is speaking to you, but you can't hear it because of all the other voices that you've allowed.
You turn those up.
And you've turned them up. And those are the voices that you're letting influence you and causing that confusion and disturbance in your mind. And so that's, man, and you know, this world today is so noisy, just hands down.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I've started doing with my kids, they're 15 and 13. We do devotions every night. And then there's some nights I say, hey, we're gonna do this quiet time. You know? And you know, teenagers, their attention span, just like
scratching their knee.
Yeah, you know. So I said it'll be uncomfortable. So we'll put on some worship music and I'll lower the lights just so they can just, you know, focus. And I'll give them a thought to focus on. You know, I'll say, hey, think of what you can be thankful. What do you want to thank God for today? You know, think about the day that you had, or just where you are in your life, and focus on something to be thankful for. So we'll sit there in that worship moment, and I just want them to get used to, or be in a habit of, hey, this needs to be a part of my life. I need to be able to push pause on everything else, put the phone down, get off the video game. Yeah. You know, and just sit in this quiet. Yeah. And listen to my Father speak to me. You know? Yeah,
and let me say this real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I think when people it's hard for people to sit in silence because when you're just sitting there in silence, you're not in control.
Yeah, you're not.
You have no control.
Once
you're doing something, talking, moving, you're controlling everything. When you're just sitting there, and just waiting on the Lord, you don't have the control no more. Yeah. And so you're fidgeting. Go, Lord, you coming? Are you talking to me? Like, what's going on, Lord? It's like, hey, just sit there.
Just sit, man.
Just sit there, yeah.
You know, and that is so important. That is so important, especially in this fast-paced world where things are going 100 miles an hour. That is so important. So, DEON, thank you so much. Once again, I know we can sit here and talk for hours, but look in the camera and tell our viewers where they can connect with you on your social media.
Yeah, so my social media is the same across the board. It's at Way of DEON. That's WAYOFDEON. And my music is on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, everywhere under DEON, all caps. DEON, all caps.
There you got it. Make sure you connect with him. That's DEON, okay? We'll see you soon. Peace out.